and another review bites the dust. Another review bites the dust. Yeah. Sorry, but this is why I can't sing Queen. Or yet, I just can't sing, period. So anyways, we got another review going, and this time it's gonna be on the anime, Another. And you know how most animes are based after mangas? Well, in this case, well, yeah, it is based after a manga, but the manga was based after an original novel with the same name. So first came the novel, then came the mangas, and then came the anime. So it's a pretty interesting origin. Although I have never read the original book or the mangas, so unfortunately I won't be able to compare them with the anime. Now before I talk about the story, I just want to clear up something that this anime's genre is horror and mystery. And just so you guys know, this is the last horror related anime that I'm taking a look at within this feature. And since I've done so many horror related animes, this one I'm not entirely sure what the horror theme would be, but maybe a ghost story or a haunting or something, but even then I don't even know if even that's accurate. And also, I really hope I can explain the story well, because, well, I will just say one thing, is that the story is pretty damn complex. And because it's a mystery, I don't want to give away too much stuff, because, well, not only is this a pretty recent anime, if at least from now, but it's one of those animes where you have to see it to believe it. So anyways, here's my best attempt to explain the story. So it begins with the main character, Koichi Sakikibara, moving into town, and transfers into a school called Yomiyama North, in class 3-3. So when he goes to school, he ends up meeting someone named Mei Misaki, who seems to be all alone all the time. So he ends up trying to be friends with her, but she ends up telling him that it's not a very good idea to do that, because there is a curse going on in room class 3, and this curse ends up killing a student in each month. And by the way, a lot of these deaths that happen in the show are pretty damn gruesome. So anyways, the curse has been going around for a very long time, and apparently one of the ways to prevent people from dying is to pretend that one of the students doesn't exist, because they think it has to do with the amount of kids in the classroom every time that there's a new student that joins in, which happens to be the main character. So the one that they have to pretend to not exist is Mei Misaki, but Sakikibara does not know about the curse yet, so he ends up talking to her, which screws up everything, so they can't really rely on that for too long. But the real way to stop this curse is to kill the one who is dead. And you may think, wait, how the fuck does that make sense? Wait, what, like you have to kill a zombie or something? Basically, one of the people within the classroom is dead, but they don't realize that they're dead. I guess you could say this is pretty similar to The Sixth Sense. So anyways, I'm gonna stop the story right there because, like I said, there's not really a whole lot I can get into without getting into any spoilery stuff. But I will say that the story is at least very fascinating. So I do apologize for the lack of info on the story, but I think that should at least give you a basic idea of what it is. But most importantly for me is that I think the show is fucking awesome. And I really do consider this to be a pretty unique one. For me personally, I really can't think of another horror mystery anime, at least off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure there is more of them out there. And because this anime has such a great story, I really wonder what the book is like. And I think that would give me a lot of motivation to read through this entire book, but of course I'd have to find a copy of it first. Yeah, I may not be like a huge fan of reading like really long novels, but there are some novels that I really do like, most of them being fantasy or horror. But it really depends. But yeah, for the most part, I'm not a huge reader, but if something really does interest me a lot, then hell yeah, I'm gonna go check it out. So anyways, let's move on to animation. And I think the animation is pretty awesome. It has the really dark tone really well, which is, well, you would suspect for this kind of thing, and well, it looks good. And as I said before, all the death scenes are pretty damn gruesome and gory, but I mean, hey, that is awesome. Even if some of the death scenes are kinda over the top, well, at least some of them are, but I mean, hey, can't go wrong there because, like I said, it's awesome. So I really don't have much complaints about the animation, so all I can say, it's great. Now as for the voice acting, I think it's pretty good. Obviously not perfect, but I think it is pretty good for what it is. And personally, I prefer watching the Japanese one on this one, even if I can't tell how good the quality of the voice acting is in Japanese. I just think it kind of suits it more. But that's not to say that the English one is just terrible, but like I said, it's actually pretty good. But the only thing I would change with the English voice acting is that Izumi is being played by Jessica Booney, who I think is a really good voice actress, but I think her voice for that character just doesn't suit it as well. Same thing with Takako, who is being played by Emily Neves. But if they did manage to switch places somehow, then I think it would be a lot better. And as for Sakikibara's voice, well, he's being played by Greg Aries, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Now, I will have to say one thing, is that every single role that I've ever heard him play when it came to an anime, I was just never a fan of his voice work. I mean, a lot of the times he always plays a really bitch character. For one example, he plays Tomoki from Heaven's Lost Property, and well, as you know, I think he's a big shithead. And you're probably thinking, well, this can't be a good sign. But surprisingly, he actually does this role very fucking well. And ever since I first watched this, it actually kind of gives me more respect for this voice actor. Because as I said, a lot of the other voices that he's done that I've heard, I just never liked. And lastly, I'll mention is Mei Masaki's voice, who is being played by Monica Ryle. I think she did the best job when it comes to the voices within the English. And as for everyone else, I think they did at least a good job. So really, I don't have much complaints other than that whole switcheroo thing. So either if you want to watch this in Japanese or in English, as far as I can tell, I think they're both great. And we're going to be taking a look at music in this one, and well, all I have to say about the music is, it's definitely awesome. It suits the horror theme very well. In fact, it suits it so well that it can actually be pretty suspenseful. I think this is the first anime I ever watched where it actually startled me, because the music cues are just perfectly well done. And I have to say, that's quite an accomplishment. And considering that there's a lot of horror movies out there, especially lately, that always try and rely on jump scares constantly all the time, and this show doesn't even do that. And just for one example of a part that always freaks me out is that every time when Sakigabara goes into this doll shop, which happens to be where Masaki lives, not only is the fact that the doll shop itself just looks really creepy, but even in the inside there's a downstairs where you see a bunch of like body parts all over the place, and the dolls have like this like really creepy expression. And it's dark and gloomy, and of course, the music at that part is just so perfect. It really makes a creepy atmosphere. So anyways, I can go on and on about the music in this show, but yeah, seriously though, it kicks ass. And now as for the score, I'm gonna give this one a 10 out of 10. Yeah, I'm serious, because you know why? Because this show is definitely one of my new favorite animes. And everything about it was just done so damn well that I really didn't know what else to give it. I mean, it was either a 9 or a 10. And well, I think a 10 is definitely the best it can go, because I think they did the best job that they could with this sort of anime. Although I may have no knowledge about the original book, I would at least like to read it. So anyways, yes, I really love this anime. Definitely one of the best horror animes I ever watched. And I highly recommend it if you're into mystery or horror. But hey, that's 2 animes in a row that got a 10 out of 10. Damn, we're on a roll.